welcome back to the Pleasure Beach YouTube channel. During this video, we'll be looking at the Snails and Fairy Tales refurbishment. I hope that you all enjoy. The Snails and Fairy Tales has been a huge part of the Pleasure Beach's history, so this winter we decided that the Snails ride needed a bit of a fresh face and an update. So we took the task on to undertake a full refurbishment. Since then, obviously we've opened up this season 2021 with the Snails as it is now, and we've had some amazing feedback on the project and the things that we've done to bring the Snails more to life so that customers can enjoy the ride once again as they have for many years. A major part of the Snails project was trying to keep with the original sort of storyboards and the heritage of the ride. We really didn't want to lose that, because I know that there's a lot of memories for families and people that have been here in the past, and we wanted to sort of keep those traditional fairy tales alive for people, especially as they're constantly being remade and the films are being released. It's lovely that families can come and really experience the ride with their children and their grandchildren and have those memories together. So one of the first steps of the refurbishment for the Snails was obviously the ideas phase. So we came up with a storyboard. We've gone through every scene within the Snails and basically decided what we're going to have where, and exactly which scene's going to follow the scene before and the scene after. So we did that, and then we started putting together some ideas for how each scene would look. We started coming up with some mood boards almost, how we envisaged the ride looking. So you can see there's the Jack and the Beanstalk sort of opening scene. We then move into the Hansel and Gretel ideas of things and bits and bobs that we saw that we liked and thought that would look really good for the ride. Obviously then moved to Peter Pan. Got some Neverland shots there as well. There's a picture there of Hook fighting against Peter Pan as well. So these are all ideas that we thought would look really, really cool and people can enjoy over and over again. You can see the Snow White ideas that we've tried to bring to life in the outside area, moving into the indoor area with the mining tunnel of the Seven Dwarfs. And obviously the last scene of the Snow White is the crack in the tunnel and Snow White being kissed by the prince at the end of the tunnel. And then the last scene of the ride is Alice in Wonderland, which was like the scene where we really wanted to leave people with a lasting impression of the ride, which was like, wow. So we wanted to create sort of like a mini Wonderland in there. So you've got obviously how we envisaged the ride looking, ideas, Mad Hatter's Tea Party, which we brought to life inside, and then some different ideas as well with the Cardman and Alice. So yeah, that was the ideas for the ride. Obviously once we created the ideas, it was then about trying to recruit the people that could bring the ideas to life. So we went about trying to source people in the industry experts for different elements of the project along the way. So first things first, we recruited Bob Cushing and Christine Bradnam. They helped us with all of the scenic painting and have done such an amazing job. As you'll see as you go in, the Alice in Wonderland room, they painted all of the ceiling into like a chessboard effect, which was amazing. They painted the most beautiful looking moon for one of the Aladdin scenes where Aladdin's riding on the carpet. So their work was all outstanding, even through the Snow White scene, the Pinocchio scenes, they've done an incredible job. So we're here on the Hansel and Gretel scene in the Snails that's been newly refurbished for the 2021 season with Bob Cushing and Christine Bradnam, who are the scenic artists that painted this very gingerbread house in front of us. So could you tell us a bit about the process, how you painted the fiberglass structure?
Well, it was all base coated, and obviously there were elements on it that were moulded into the fiberglass when it was constructed. And then we just had to get creative, filling in the gaps with the lollies and the Battenberg cakes and you name it. And yeah, it was What a fun process with the dripping icing and the chocolate roof and all the rest of it.
Yeah, it's come together really nice. So how long did this take you roughly?
Well, when we were working on it, it was through the winter, so there were quite a few days we couldn't come outside. So we would grab a few days here and there when the sun was out and come out, and probably took us a week.
On and off
It's
about.
about 6 days, yeah.
What kind of product was used on it?
They're all exterior grade wall paints, aren't they?
Yeah, masonry paints.
Masonry paints.
Yeah, as you can see, it's really impactful. I think as you come around the corner of this scene, it really stands out and sets the scene of the enchanted land we're trying to create. So we're here at the entrance to the tunnel, the inside area of the Snails, where we have the Seven Dwarfs mining tunnel scene. So Bob and Christine, can you talk us through how you created the artwork here?
Yeah, this one, this isn't actually my favourite part. We made it look like the diamond mine, so we've created the feeling of the wood holding it up, and the rocks and little elements of the miners' lamps and barrels, little pickaxes.
And then these pieces of timber were put in to simulate the props, and these are actually old pieces of timber, aren't they? Off the roller coaster, which will go in spare. Yeah.
We've also had some lighting put in with a strobe effect, so as you come along it looks like the diamonds are coming out at you as the car passes through the tunnel. So how did you carry out this process?
Piece of chalk on a long stick for marking it out. And then combination of brush and airbrush, spray gun. Yeah.
Can you talk us through what you had to do first, how exactly you put it together?
Yeah, we projected the image to draw it, and then we masked certain parts of it so we could spray the sky in the background. And then we gradually brushed in the trees and put the flowers in, and all the centre section.
Put shadowing into certain areas in a darker tone to give it that three-dimensional look. Yeah, a signature piece.
And then we added the animals because we thought they were cute. They're a little bunny here.
Yeah, it really brings the scene to life, and as you're coming down the tunnel it's almost like the light at the end of the tunnel.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, it catches your eye as you come through. You're drawn to it.
So talk us through the process, what you had to do to bring to life in UV.
Well, when we brought Pinocchio in, he obviously didn't glow because he didn't have any UV paint on him, so we matched the colours that were on him so that now all of him fluoresces. And also with the floor in here had got very dirty and tired, so we repainted the floorboards so they all fluoresce as well. Most of this room was in pretty good state, so we tidied up anything that had been water damaged and affected by the environment in the past. But with Pinocchio having his new lease of life with the UV paints, he really shines out as you go past him.
Okay, talk us through this scene, Bob. Obviously, continuation from the previous Pinocchio scene, but we have the new edition of this cutout which you made.
Yes, created this in my workshop during one very cold week when we couldn't actually work down here because it was so cold, and tied the bottom into the floor, which we also redid all this because once again this had all got very, very dirty and you couldn't really see anything. Once again, all still in UV, so it fluoresces under the UV lights and creates a really nice effect.
So we're now entering the new edition of the Aladdin scene. As you can see, it's to designate the Cave of Wonders. You've got the genie there. So talk us through again the work that you carried out on the background and painting of the genie.
Yeah, of all the UV scenes, this was the most involved. A lot of airbrushing. Once again, all in UV. He's all being UV, so he fluoresces along with the sarcophagus.
Okay, so we're here on the final scene. Personally, my favourite is Alice in Wonderland Mad Hatter's Tea Party. So talk us through, obviously it's a very high ceiling here. How did you sort of paint it all in the process?
With great difficulty.
This was the first room we started with, and when we came in it was just a black tunnel. So we had a scaff tower that we wheeled around, climbed up and worked out how these squares went together. There's a perspective on them, so it wasn't as simple as just drawing a load of squares. We had to really consider where the lines went, the whole thing twists. So yeah, that took a while to get to look right. And then we painted all the mushrooms and the flowers along the edge, the whole sort of Wonderland feel, all down this side as well. And we painted the platform.
The last thing that I did in here was the large Cheshire cat on the exit.
Then we had to think about landscaping for the outside areas. So we used a firm called Ben Willis Landscaping based in Norwich. Again, they've done an amazing job with the Hansel and Gretel scenes, the Snow White scenes, and they've put bark mulch in all of the front area for the Jack and the Beanstalk scene. Other guys that we've used on the project, we used John Henry Thurston and Black Star Limited. So they've been amazing with the lighting and making sure, you know, all the UV bulbs through the tunnel are replaced and everything is looking sharp in there. Obviously the audio as well, which was Prestige Sound Company, done an amazing job with some sort of music for the tunnel to really sort of bring all the senses to life as well. So those were the main contributors. Obviously our guys on site, maintenance team, have chipped in as well as and when they could during the winter period with the winter strip that they have to do to all of the rides. Not forgetting Jonathan from Effective Imaging, he done all of the backdrops as you'll see throughout the video. He's going to show you a few bits and bobs that he created as well. So yeah, this is just a few ideas of when we were creating one of the backdrops. We had to measure out each of the roller coaster panels. So you can see here, you've got 40 foot by 16 foot. We had to come up with a backdrop for this specific area, which wasn't easy. We managed to source an image that we then used, and then it was about sectioning it off and trying to bring that to life on the roller coaster tins as well. And then we done like a sort of an artist's impression of how we envisaged it looking with a final product to be shown hopefully later in this video. So yeah, that was really the main elements of our planning for the Snails and Fairy Tales refurbishment. So we're here with Jonathan Ling from Effective Imaging based in Great Yarmouth, and Jonathan was responsible for our backdrop on the refurbished Snails. Jonathan, can you talk us through the process of how this image was designed and sort of put onto the roller coaster tins as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so the hardest thing that we found with this particular image was sourcing the artwork, sourcing something not only that looked good, but also looked good while blown up. I mean, you can imagine it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going 6 panels across, and they're 8 foot by 4 foot panels. So we're going like over a very large area of square meterage. Once we were decided on the artwork, which it did take quite a while. Yeah. I think Aaron would agree. Yeah, definitely. But I think it was certainly worth the time that we put into it. We then basically make sure that the image scales up correctly, load the media onto a large format print machine, basically print off to a self-adhesive vinyl. It's a 7-year vinyl, which we then apply a 7-year UV stable laminate to it, which stops any fading, protects it from all the bad weather we do experience sometimes down here. Then basically it's just a case of sticking the adhesive vinyl up onto the boards and making sure that they all fit, they all line up properly, and then hand them over to the team here to install.
For this scene of the Snails, we went for the Hansel and Gretel theming. Obviously, as you can see behind us, we've gone for like a sort of woodland-based backdrop, and Jonathan's going to talk you through this image and why it works for this particular scene.
Yeah, so this image, very straightforward. Out of all the images we produced here, this was the easiest to kind of source and work with. As you can see, it is basically just a forest backdrop. Nothing too busy, nothing too cluttered, but something that lends itself very well to the cabin, which was already here. Process is exactly the same as the other one out the front, just didn't take nowhere near as long.
So after the Hansel and Gretel scene, you move then into Peter Pan. So as you can see here, Jonathan's sourced a lovely image of sort of like a Neverland-esque backdrop. Can you tell us about this one, Jonathan, and why it fits so well within this scene?
This one yeah, this one slightly different to the others, where we were a little bit more restricted on the size we had, and it was more of a portrait shape than a landscape shape. That being said, we were able to find a stockish image, and all we done is we just make a few amendments, a few changes to it to make it fit for purpose a little bit better. But again, this one was one of the more straightforward ones we done.
As you can see, like if you scan onto the image, you can see like a nice bit of detail. You've got waterfalls, you've got rainbows, you've got a little campsite down there, and you've got some ships and some alligators on the left. So it sort of really gives that Neverland effect, and hopefully takes the customers to a Peter Pan's world. So we're now in the Snow White scene with the Seven Dwarfs as well. The backdrop on this one, we've gone for sort of like a castle-esque picture in the background, and Jonathan's going to tell you about the production of that image itself.
Yeah, so one of the problems we had with this issue is there's no structure directly behind to fix to. So what we tried to do is, or what the team at the Pleasure Beach constructed a wooden structure behind us to fit the signage to, and we wanted to find an image that made it look as if it was in the distance. And what we found is this particular image of a very fairy tale-esque castle, and we felt this worked absolutely perfectly with the situation we found ourselves in.
We really hope that you enjoy the ride and that you come and see us this season and continue creating lots of memories with your families on this ride.